Hello, everybody. Some old guy with MS here once again. Um, yeah. In this video, I want to talk about the home a bit and talk about tums again. Um, at this home, they do what would you call it? Like they do a house review for each client, um, where the doctor and the nurses and probably my wife and sometimes me. Well, they included me on the last one, which was the first one. And, they talk about your health and the care that you need. Then in 5 months, they do a medicine review. And that's coming up on December 7th, tomorrow. And then in 5 months again, they do another health review. And then in 5 months, they do another medicine review, and so on and so on and so on. So on December 7th, tomorrow, they're going to do a medicine review for me. And one of the nurses told me this on, I think it was Thursday. And I asked, am I supposed to be a part of it? And what about my wife? And they said, no, this is really between the doctor and the nurses that, look after you. And they said, I've only mentioned this to you in case you have some concerns or points that you want brought up. And I thought to myself, oh boy, do I ever have some points and concerns? I thought to myself, I'm going to really give it to this doctor. So I said to the nurse, I said, well, I'd like you to bring up the number of tums I'm allowed to take. Oh, yeah, and if you remember from last time, they told me because the tums that my wife had brought were actually quite big pills that I had to take half of a tums once every 4 hours. Well, they since increased that to 1 tums every 4 hours. Or it might be 1 tums. Yeah, it's probably 1 full tums every 8 hours. So it's a little bit better, but not much. So I wanted the nurse to say, I said to the nurse, in modern history, I really don't think there has ever been a death caused by taking too many tums. And I'm pretty sure no one has ever overdosed from taking too many tums. And on top of that, I'm 99.99999% sure that tums are not addictive. Taking all that into consideration, limiting the number of tums I'm allowed to one every 8 hours is kind of ridiculous. And it says, and also, tums is a over-the-counter medication. Well, it's not even over-the-counter. It's on the goddamn shelves, so anyone can grab it. So I really, really, really don't think it's of that much concern. And I really, really, really don't see why I'm being limited to one every 8 hours. And the nurse says, well, okay, I'll bring that up for you. Yeah, I'll make sure the doctor's aware of your feelings. And I thought, good, that's what I want. Kind of let him know. I think he's being an idiot. Then I thought about it. I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought, you know what? Because I'm getting someone to do this on my behalf, I'd better make sure I am correct. I was pretty sure I was, but I thought I'd better make sure. So I looked up on the internet tums overdose, and actually quite surprising. There was a whole bunch of links showed up. So I thought, oh, this is not good. So I looked at the very first one, which was from Popular Science. Now, Popular Science is not the greatest source, the most informative, but it's not, out there in cuckoo land. I mean, it's okay. And the article would be something I could read and understand. So it starts off by saying death by tums overdose is exceedingly rare. And from that, I gather that means it's rare, but not impossible. Article went on to say they kind of describe what tums is and what it does. Tums is calcium carbonate, which is what must be an alkali, because it reacts with acid and basically neutralizes it. But when it reacts with acid, it releases calcium ions, or I don't know, some kind of calcium stuff. And if you take a few, it's not bad. But if you take too many, you can get a buildup of calcium. which can be very bad for your kidneys and your heart. And if you get too much calcium build up, it can lead to kidney failure and death. Um, it went on to say that um, this buildup of calcium is more commonly known as milk alkali. And yes, you can die from it. And it said that um, tums itself, they come in all sorts of sizes, but it recommends taking less than 7 of the largest tablets in one sitting. 7 is an awful lot, and I don't think I'd take that, but nevertheless. It went on to say that saying what is a maximum that you should take is actually very hard to say with the general population, because if you have some kidney damage, of course, any amount can be bad for you. And I don't remember. But it might have said, and especially with older people. Well, here at the home, um, it's almost all older people. I'm not the youngest, but I'm one of the youngest. So it kind of makes sense that the doctor is being very careful and very conservative. This article also went on to say that the reason you get acid reflux is from eating too much, or what happens is with some people, the muscle that controls, a flap or a valve at the end of your esophagus going into your stomach gets weak, and that allows more of the acid to come back up your throat, or it allows any to. And because I've got MS, all my muscles are getting weak. So that kind of makes sense. And usually when I get an upset stomach, it's at night when I'm lying in bed. So I'm horizontal. It's easier for acid to go up my esophagus. And so it kind of does make sense. So it said what a much better idea, because if you have a lot of acid reflux, maybe take 1 tums, and then there are these other medicines that aren't antacids, but actually stop your stomach from creating acid and control it that way. Interestingly enough, that is what the nurse suggested. She said, why don't you take 1 tums And then if you still got an upset stomach, we can give you, I think it was called almond milk, which will, you know, which will help. So, because the article suggested that and the nurse suggested it, sounded like a pretty good idea. So, anyway, it really pains me to admit, but admit I must. I was kind of wrong. Apparently, you can die from eating too many tums. Not necessarily overdose on tums, but create this other symptom where you got too much calcium, which will be bad for your kidneys and heart. So, oh yeah, and one of the other things they said was one of the problems with Tums is it is an over-the-counter medication, and people don't generally think it's harmless. Well, apparently it's not harmless, and you cannot just pop them like candies or like they're going out of style. You may actually be causing yourself harm, and you might be harming your kidneys. So, Steve, you better smarten up. Anyway, so on Friday, I saw the nurse again, and I said, yeah, I looked this up on the internet. Actually, the doctor's not quite as crazy as I thought. There are good reasons for limiting it, the amount of tums I take, and yeah, just forget it. Don't say anything. And they were quite happy. They said, well, Roy, I'm glad you researched it. I'm glad you found out some things. They said, I didn't even know that, but there you go. We learn something new every day. So on the 7th, tomorrow, they'll have my medicine review. And yeah, don't really change anything. So there you go. Yeah, I think I'll leave it about there. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and or subscribe. Thanks very much. Yeah, I think that's it. So, end communication. Okay, this is not for you. Start listening. Mouse grid 8, 8, 1. Click. Mouse grid 5, 9, 6. Click. Bye bye.